I'm
Well,
going to start the recording here too.
Yeah, okay. Well, now that we're officially recording, we must be on our best behavior. Well, I just want to say thanks, Dustin, for inviting me, and thank you for your work and and how much you volunteer to help our community. And I know if you're like me, it's just really fun to do and really fun to talk about and really fun to help people. So I'm glad to share whatever I know and what I've learned over the years. Just backing up just a moment real quick. My name is Jason Champagne. Just like the drink, where I'm from in Louisiana, we say champagne, but don't try to do that. You might hurt yourself. I've been with Elegant Themes for about 5 years now. And I'm going to go ahead and give you my little presentation here. So, oh my goodness, let's see. Please don't tell me I'm going to have to restart. Okay. Yep. I was afraid of that. I didn't have permissions. So pause.
All right, we'll wait for you.
Okay. That's sad. I'll be back.
Okay. Well, while we wait for him.
I'm just glad to know I'm not the only one that has issues. Every time I want to do something, right when I need to use it, my computer locks up.
Yes, it's so frustrating. And with all these different virtual apps, to meet and stuff, like they all need their own permissions, and yeah.
Right, they're different from Zoom, so yeah, it's like, okay, it's all different.
Totally. Hopefully it doesn't take them too long to come back. But how are you guys? I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while.
See you in a while. I've been wildly busy, so
Same.
And so the timing doesn't work. But today, for some reason, I was free, and I thought, I gotta go.
Love that.
That's great. Because you have it at a convenient time for me.
Yeah, once the evenings wear on, I have a hard time. I don't have enough time to hang out and do these meetups. So, which is hard when I try to go to your guys, because you guys do them in the evening.
Yeah, we do it in the evening. So does Sacramento does it as well. And Cami, you do it in the evening also, right?
Yeah.
And the time difference drives me nuts. It's like, it's 6 o'clock over here and it's 8 o'clock over there, and it's like, okay, we keep on converting the times.
I have problems when my webinars are in Scotland because they start at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right. That's a real time difference. That's another nice time. Yeah.
I'm still deciding what to talk about this month for us, because everybody's got such great topics. It's like, why? I'm not going to do those topics because you guys can just go to their event.
No, you should do them. You should do them.
Well, it's a Divi Cloud thing. I mean, I don't use it, but I know that's the hot thing. Hey, Raquel, that's the hot thing right now. And,
yeah,
100%. You guys need to do the same topics.
Yeah,
because we're trying to build our local community. Remember?
Right. But Divi's got so many new features. I mean, you've got so much
in the world is our local community.
I see how Cami's playing it. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
but the purpose of a Divi meetup group is to build your local community. That's the number one purpose. We get to experience the global community.
We had a local guy in Chicago join us last night, and he talked about advertising and social media. And he's based in Chicago. He's a businessman, and he was thrilled to meet everybody in Chicago, online, of course, in the Divi meetup. So that was kind of good. So yeah, just do it locally. He's back.
He's back and muted.
And muted.
Yeah.
We lost Jason at some point.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
wants
I'm
to
back.
share his screen, but doesn't have the permissions to do it. But now he does. Let's hope.
I had to shut down Chrome completely. I had all my tabs closed. It was a big mess. So I'm back. Great first presentation. Off to a great start. Anyway, let's keep going. All right. Nice to see you, Raquel. All right. So let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. And there we are. So here's my intro. All right. So senior content creator for Elegant Themes, building websites with Divi ever since it was released in 2013. Any
Not
of you
seeing
guys?
it yet, Jason.
Yeah, I'm not seeing your screen
Oh,
yet.
really?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
not seeing your screen yet.
How about, I just redid it. How about now?
There we go.
Woo!
Can you see it?
Yep.
Does it say intro at the top?
Yes.
Sure does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So how many of you guys have been with Divi since the release in 2013? Just curious. Wow, that's a lot. I've been doing it since then. I remember like it was yesterday how awesome it was. So I actually started our launch day, a web company with my brother for about 7 years before joining Elegant Themes. And it's been really a perfect fit for me ever since. Been there for 5 years now as a senior content creator. So I live in Conroe, Texas, which is near Houston. I'm married with 2 boys and a little girl. So it's kind of where I'm at. I do work with Elegant Themes full time, and I have another full-time job as a dad, and husband. I guess the main thing I want to emphasize here is that I'm gonna probably talk too much, so I don't want you to hesitate to interrupt me or ask any questions, because I feel like we have a small enough group that we can really, learn from each other, and hopefully I can learn from you guys. Because although I do write a lot of blog posts, sometimes I don't feel like I'm on the front lines like you guys. So there's a lot I can learn from you. And I'm kind of behind the scenes a lot. I know how things work, but it's always good to hear from you, and specifically how you use Divi on your own blog, and how we can learn from it. So how to build a blog with Divi. Here's some tips on how to leverage Divi to really streamline the blogging process. Here goes. Here's the real main goal here, or the key, is to use dynamic content as much as possible. And that's going to make content easier to create and manage. So the idea is to just, and if you're not familiar with dynamic content, it's basically you're trying to put content in place that you don't have to touch anymore. And so that it can automatically deploy where it needs to go on your front end, on your blog page. And we'll get into how that works specifically. And I know a lot of you are already familiar with it, but the key really is to use dynamic content as much as possible. That's going to allow you to, or free up your time to just basically write. And that's what we want to do, to pump out content. And that's the most important thing. And so that's kind of where I'm going with this. And I'm going to share with you some of the ways we can, harness the power of Divi and dynamic content in all of the places that it exists in Divi to really streamline your blogging experience. And a lot of you are already using, blog modules, modules and things like that, which already is basically dynamic content in and of itself, like the blog module, for example. So the first one here, excuse me, go back. The modules have dynamic content, like the blog module, right? It deploys blog posts dynamically, as opposed to static content like text modules stuff. The post title is dynamic, the post slider, all those pieces of the puzzle that make up a blog are all kind of dynamic. They pull from the back end. And so that's an element of dynamic content for your blog, just the modules itself. Also, the dynamic content that's available on a module content area. So that, for those of you who don't know, just a real quick, I gotta log in here. So refresh. I mean, everybody should be somewhat familiar with dynamic content since you've been with Divi from the beginning, but just so we can all see it for ourselves, let's just look in here. Every element in Divi has the ability to have dynamic content added to the content areas. So this is a content area, the body here. I like to use the text tab. But if I hover over it, I can add, dynamic content to it. And this is actually this is just a regular page, the blog page in my mock site here. So, and this is a text module. So, but I can add, the page archive title, page excerpt. This is all stuff that would be applicable to a page for dynamic content. But if I was on a blog post, this would look different. They have a number of different things you can add to a blog post for dynamic content. If I click on, let's see, this blog post, that was not the blog post. And so this is, this is a blog post using a template. And if I go to the back end here, so I'll just go to, and remember, we're just talking about right now dynamic content and all the ways it exists.
Jason, could you just tell me the difference between content and dynamic content?
So I guess the great question, the best way to differentiate between the two is static content versus dynamic content. And I don't know if you remember the days of HTML sites, right? So an HTML site basically was a website built with static pages, like static content, right? It was a big pain to update. And that's why we love WordPress, because it allows us to build content or show content on your website by pulling data from your database. So basically, dynamic content is the ability for your, in this case, Divi, to pull data from the back end and put it where it needs to go automatically on your page, as opposed to you going to a post and writing out the first paragraph of your blog post. That's considered static. It stays there. It's not going to go anywhere else on your website but that one place. Dynamic content would be like your blog post title, right? That can be added to the, not only to the top of your page dynamically in a template, but also on the actual blog snippet here, right? So this title is being used a lot of different places throughout your site dynamically. And so when you enter that title on the back end of your website, when you edit a blog post, that is considered dynamic content, and it can now be pulled and used throughout Divi, throughout WordPress. And so what the goal is, does that answer your question before I continue?
I think so. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like smart content that can be used everywhere as opposed to just one place. And so I'm going to go to the, where was I? Theme builder to show you, this is where you're going to manage templates, right? So this is the first step. If you want to build dynamic content, you're going to want to use a theme builder template, specifically a blog post template to start with, but you'll also want to use a category page template. And and I'll get to the reasons why, but the template allows you to add dynamic content to it, so you don't have to enter it in every time you do a blog post. And there's also the ability to add custom fields, and we'll get into that as dynamic content on the back end as well, which can do all kinds of cool things. And we probably won't have time to get into it, but the conditional templates, the conditional templates and the conditional content that you can add, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with the conditional content, or the conditional content feature that we added, which allows you basically to show different things whenever your user interacts with the website. I know I'm going fast, but I'll get to those points in more detail.
Jason, is there any way you can enlarge what it is you're sharing? It is so tiny for my old eyes.
Okay, so I will, I'll try and use my Zoom feature here. This would be it's not good. I can do this.
It's in the Google Meet settings, Kenny, on the little 3 dots down below.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And then go to full screen. That's much easier to see.
Oh, there
Jason,
you go.
I do have a technical question for you whenever you get things adjusted there.
Oh, thank you. That was it, full screen. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Okay, my question is that I have a series of page templates, okay? And it seems rather that when I assign these templates to specific pages, I have to wind up going and excluding those templates from other specific pages that are being used by other templates. And it doesn't seem to be working out very well. So I don't know if there any kind of way to prioritize those templates to where I don't always have to use the exclude from, even if I have page templates assigned to those other pages. Do you understand what I'm saying here? It just seems like I'm always having to use exclude from to when I don't think I need to.
Okay, so that's a great question. So for those of you who may be curious as to what she's referring to is, this is actually one of those conditional elements of the template. So if you go in and every template you create, the first thing you need to do is assign it to something. So it can be assigned to basically anything on your page. So if this is a blog post template, so it's assigned to all posts. So this template is going to, whatever I design in the body of this template is going to be shown on all of my posts site-wide. It's like, a child theme basically for your posts. And so this is the power of the theme builder, right? So you can design it how you want once, and then that content you enter in on the back end will just be pulled in through the template. And on the front end, you don't have to worry about designing stuff every single time you blog. But this conditional element, because a lot of you who run blogs want to have different templates for different blog posts or different, I don't know, whatever it is your needs are. But I do want to ask, before I ask, there's the ability to use on, right? The use on tab and exclude from. So I can basically set this template to use on all blog posts, but exclude it from, let's say, a specific blog post or a blog post, or all the blog posts in a specific category. So it gets kind of, confusing or hard to keep track of these types of conditional settings on your templates. So I guess the question is how to best manage that. Is a good way to do that without it getting too convoluted and confusing. I think it would be helpful to know a specific use case for this so that I can kind of address it, as opposed to just kind of like general, ways to organize it. Can you give me a specific example about what you're trying to exclude?
Yeah, what I have is that I've got about 89 pages, and it first started off as one single template, and then the client wanted to go with different designs based upon a certain subject matter. But they weren't under any category. They weren't organized in any specific manner. So when I had to create all these extra templates, and I tried to assign them to other specific pages, even though the very first one by default was set to all pages, it wound up turning into kind of an assignment mess. And so that's why, you know, it's like, okay, well, the first template was in all pages, but then I got all these other templates that need to be assigned to other pages. So I had to go back to the very first template and go to exclude, and that turned into a maintenance nightmare in itself. So I didn't know that, you know, if there was any way to reprioritize these templates so that they would override the all pages set by the very first template. Kind of get it now?
I do. And any specific, are you saying that, for example, if I assign, like, if I have the first one assigned to all posts, and then I have a different template assigned to a specific post,
Right.
that one wouldn't override the all posts?
Right, exactly. And that's where things, it got messy. And so I had to go back to the very first template that I created and go to exclude from, and exclude it from others in order for the other templates to be assigned to them. And
Yeah,
it's just, it was a nightmare.
it sounds like a really bad nightmare. But specifically, I mean, my first thought would be to look into the reason why you're needing to create all of these templates in the first place. I feel like there's another solution that would be better. Can you give me one example of why you would need another template for a page?
Well, she wanted a header to be redeveloped in this different format, different colors, and the body content was going to be laid out differently. It was going to have a sidebar instead of, you know, being full body content, full width, etc. So she was, while I didn't agree with it, I was being paid to do it. And
No, I hear you. Yeah.
so that in itself answers that question.
Right. So the issue is, okay, the header, right, was needing to be.
It was the header, the body layout, etc. Now, if this is going to take too long, it's going to take time.
Yeah,
from where you're here. We can discuss
Sure.
it some other time.
That's
So I didn't realize it was going to take up a lot of time to discuss it.
It's good to know, though, just to point out briefly, because it just kind of points out just kind of the power of this feature, and how easily it can be hard to manage because of all of what it can do. So it's kind of, well, it is kind of a subject for later, like how to organize your themes, or templates. But I think I would look into the conditional options on the template itself, and because it has certain conditions, like, for example, per page or per post. So you can maybe tackle it on a specific element within the template, like hide this element in the template unless he's on this page or they're on this page, that kind of thing. I would look into that using those conditional options on the template itself. And also, yes, but you probably already did all that work and don't want to have to redo it. So, but I hear you. We'll go on. It's a great question, and I'll keep that in mind, and maybe we can hook up later and discuss it. So where was I? Okay, so the template here would be a blog post template, and we're talking about dynamic content. And I just wanted to point out when we get to the next slide here, the blog module content versatility. Okay, so we all know that the blog module, probably for a lot of you, it's a love-hate relationship because it's been around for so long, and you probably want to see more and want it to do more, but it actually is already very powerful and can do a lot. And I just want to make sure and point out the key, versatility aspect of the blog module. It can be used in a number of different ways. It can be used as on a category I keep clicking on a category archive page. It can be and it can be used on a related posts on a blog post template. It can be used as a static blog for a blog page. So this is it can be used in these different ways depending on its environment. And it can also be, you can also use a bunch of different blog modules on a template with offsets to create custom layouts. So it can do a whole lot of things to kind of streamline this process and create new layouts and things like that, which you may not have been aware. And it can also be, this versatility can be applied to like the post slider module and things like that. To give you an idea of what I mean by that, I brought up the, for example, here, oh, wrong one. So here is a related posts area, but this is the blog posts. This is a blog, module being used to display related posts. It can also be used to display, for example, if I open up my post template here. Oh, well, I'll show you. Yeah, I'm using a local server on a slow computer, sorry. The related post. So this is my blog module. So I'm going to open it up and you have these options here because now I'm in a template. This blog module will look different. Under the content, it says post for current page, right? Well, that is useful if I wanted a category page template. It will just automatically, display those posts for that category page template. But right now it's being used to display the current category. And that is important because we're on a page that has a certain category and we want to show related posts related by category. And that's where the dynamic aspect of this blog module can put those in there easily. So it's very versatile. If I were to go to the, I'm just going to open it up, different tab here. If I were to go to my category page template, so let's see my theme builder. All right, so right now that's my post template. But if I went to my category page template, where are you? There you go. So this is my template, which I've assigned to all category pages. You could also assign it to all archive pages, which would take care of all of these, basically. But if I open it up, you'll see the blog module being used differently. And this is also key to, building a blog, a successful blog, knowing how all this works, because you might be afraid to use templates if not. And for this example, this is a blog module, but it's only pulling in one blog post. But you'll notice I'm using it differently. It's posts for the current page because this is an archive page, a category page. So if I click on, for example, one of these links, the category links for equipment or health or money or news, it'll take me to the category page for my website, and it will show the proper posts for that because I have set posts for current page. So this one is only showing one post count. This is, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but it's good to point out, like, you can make different layouts using multiple blog posts or multiple blog modules. This is one that's using one, but I want this full layout, right? So it's using a full width layout for this blog module, but right underneath, I have a blog module, another blog module that I've added, because you can add as many as you want. And then it's also being used for the current page because I want that same content, but it's set to display 6, right? And it has some pagination. Notice this right here, post offset number is set to 1 because I want to skip the first post that's going to show up, right? The most recent one, because that's this one up here that I'm pulling with my first blog module. So I want to offset it by 1, and then I continue with a different layout. And this is my layout, my grid layout. So I'm using a blog module to, in different ways to pull in that content that I need, but I can do it with multiple blog modules. If I wanted to, I could add another one in my sidebar with another offset or whatever. And you kind of get the idea behind that. Any questions so far before I go on? Because I guess I didn't cover the most basic usage of a blog module, which is to basically add it to a page, to create your blog page, I should say. It's so quiet with y'all all muted, I must say. So I feel like I'm talking to myself. Feel free to chime in, ask questions.
You're not talking to yourself, Jason. I just never, what you just explained, I never realized I could actually do that. That whole,
Yes, so
yeah,
yes.
I really like that. That answers a lot of questions. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize I could do that. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And any chance you can download, there's a bunch of free layout or blog post templates that we create like weekly and or bi-weekly. That's on our blog. You can download one and inspect it. We use a lot of those techniques sometimes on those blog post templates. So it's always
Right.
good to check those out.
Okay, I will. Thanks.
Can you apply these templates to blogs that are already on your website? Or do you have to redesign them?
So that's the beauty of it, right? So a template can lay over all of the content you have on the back end. All the posts that you have, all the featured images, all of those things that you created on the back end. A template, a blog post template, category page template, that sits on top of it and pulls in all that. So you can take go to the theme builder and add or import one of our free layout or free blog post templates and assign it to all of your posts. I mean, I would do it on a test site, obviously, first, but assign it to all your posts, and it will automatically adopt that design site-wide. So that's just a few clicks, and you've got a whole new blog post template.
So if the blogs are laid out similarly, it should everything should line up. But if they're laid out differently, then does the template know what to do with every element that's in the blog?
Right. So yes, it should.
There's headings and subheadings and photographs and paragraphs and more photographs, and then but each blog would be slightly different. But those are the elements that would be in there.
Great. So I'm assuming, though, from your explanation that you are, so I'm gonna go to my posts here. You are using the Divi Builder for your blog post, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the difference. And this is kind of one of the main points that might open your eyes to the possibilities of maybe streamlining your blog posts a bit more. Because a lot of times when I'll just open up, let's see. I'm just gonna click to edit.
Just to give you an example, I've been blogging for about 3 years now, and I have 6 blogs. So, and yes. 5 of them were in the first year.
I mean, awesome. And if it's working for you, by all means, continue your process.
Don't have that much.
And ignore what I'm saying. But I just wanted to make you aware of like the power of using a template to do a lot of the things that you may be doing on a post by post basis to kind of help streamline that process. So some of you who've been using Divi, you probably are maybe anti-blog editor or whatever, but I actually don't mind it. It's actually pretty intuitive, easy to do. Some of you may be still using the classic editor or whatever for your blog. That's fine. It's just if, for example, you just use this for text and images, things like that. On the back end, then you wouldn't even have to deploy the Divi Builder at all. And then when you, just to show you what this looks like, I'm gonna have to do a side-by-side here. This might help clear things up. So this is what it looks like on the back end over here, right? Let me get out of this. So I have my featured image here. Let's just go in order. So this is an anatomy of a blog post and a blog post template here. So title is up here in the crazy Latin. And here it is showing up here on my template automatically, right? That's not part of my content that I'm creating on a post by post basis. The only thing I'm really doing is adding text and images and whatever embeds I need to. But so the title is dynamic. The featured image, that's it over here, being pulled in a custom design template over here. I don't have an excerpt for this one, but I do have, let's see. If I don't have an example. There's an excerpt possibility if I wanted to add an excerpt here underneath so you can get a taste of the blog post beforehand, before you go down and read all of it. You could pull in that excerpt as dynamic content on your template and add it here as well. I don't have an excerpt for this one, but that would be one. Here's your categories. So your categories, mine is news. I don't know if I have anything else for this one, but that's here. So this is dynamic content on the front end. And I've added to the template, but I don't have to touch anymore. It's just already in place. I don't have any tags, but I could also pull in some tags somewhere if I needed to. Here's the date, published date, which is over here, right? On this side. The comments, which are being pulled in. This is actually the comment count being pulled in dynamically. And oops, back. And then my blog author here, this is all dynamic content, the picture, the name, the blog, the author bio, all dynamic. So right here, sitting right here, is your post content from the block editor. So anything inside of here, this little parent container here, is where your content on the back end will show up in this template.
So there'd be the various modules and image modules and text modules would all be within this space.
Exactly. So if you, that's what I was going to say. So if I'm using the Divi Builder to build my posts, I need to be aware of this functionality on the template. So is everybody following so far? Because I'm going to show you how maybe if you want to use the Divi Builder for your blog posts, I'm going to show you how to set it up to where maybe you have more freedom for design, because this is kind of constricting. Let me show you this. So everybody good so far? I'm not looking at your faces currently. Let's see. Yeah. If not, just chime in. So I'm going to go back to my blog posts, and I think I have a blog post that let me view this one. One of them is using the Divi build. Oh wait, duh. Sorry, it says Divi on the side. Okay. Let's see. This one's using the Divi Builder. Let's just see what it looks like on the front end. Let me open it in a new tab. Yeah. Let me view this one first. Okay. So this one's using the Divi. Oh, I didn't do anything with that one. Sorry. So let me show you. right now in my template, I have this, let's see, where is it? I already lost it. Managing, yeah, how to managing your site. So I'm gonna go to my theme builder, and you can see I have a template specific for that page. I'm gonna disable that for now, so you can see, and I'm gonna open up this. If you're confused, don't worry. Right now, I'm just gonna disable that. So all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna, if I click to edit that post, because right now I'm using the Divi builder to create this post, right? Which is different from the block editor. And so the whole point here is to kind of urge or kind of like introduce you guys to, if you're interested in making things a lot quicker for yourself, to use the block editor for your content to kind of speed up the process, especially if you have, other contributors to your blog, to make that a whole lot easier for you. But it's totally great to use the Divi builder if you want. I'm just showing you the difference. And here you can see that when I pull it up, there's a lot going on here, but they have it's showing the post inside the template. So everything around, remember this little box here? So that box is I'm opening it on this side. That box is the container that all of your post content on the back end is going to fit in. And since I'm using the Divi builder, it doesn't look right because it's not full width, right? It's contained within this pre-styled template. This template and all of the templates really that we create on our for free for download on our blog are created with the idea that you're using the block editor, not the Divi builder for each specific blog post. Because what we're anticipating is to show up here is mostly your text, your paragraphs and images, throughout, not a full blog post built with the Divi builder. And that's, so if you're using the Divi builder, it's not going to look right with our free downloads right off the bat. So you'll have to make some customizations, and if you were going to use the Divi builder, it's good that we're here. But if you were going to use it, first of all, right here, this is a post template, but with any template, when I'm editing in the body, you're going to need this, which is a post content module. And in the post content module, you're able to, design kind of like a mini child theme. You're going to design all of the elements for your post content. And assuming you're in the block editor, right, you would be able to target those without having to deal with block editor, CSS, or anything like that. So this kind of sits over your content. You can style it, style your tag, your lists, your headings, all that, how you want your images to look. You can do it here at this level so that when you deploy it on the front end, it will inherit these style changes automatically, right? Even though on the back end, it just kind of looks like plain text and images. So that's the power of this post content module. And if I was going to use the Divi theme builder, what I would do is, first of all, I'm gonna go back to my template, our theme builder template. And what I would do is I would create a new template specifically designed for the Divi builder to be used. And what this does is basically, it's real simple. I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to basically gut out all that spacing and elements. And it's just basically a simple section with no padding, nothing. I'm going to open up my layers view. So in a row, right, with no padding, right? It's basically everything's full screen so I can maximize my post content module.
Do you happen to know if in the future Elegant Themes is going to fix that problem? Because yeah, I've ran into that same issue where I create a template with the post content module, and then I have to wind up going in and creating something with the builder, a whole new, post content, so to speak. And I noticed that there's a nesting, it seems like a rather unnecessary nesting of the sections, and it causes excessive padding and such. Do you happen to know, to avoid this step, is Elegant Themes going to fix that problem?
Good question, just to make sure I understand. So the nesting you're referring to is whenever you're using the Divi builder on the back end, right? It shows up in the template with all of the padding.
Yeah, all the extra stuff, because you have that template assigned to those specific pages, but then when you want to use the builder within that page, you got all it's in it, like I said, it's a section nested within another section because the template's assigned to it, and it causes extra padding all around. So I see the method that you're using is the only method to get around it, but it seems like an extra step.
Well, it's like, for example, you could do kind of both. You can have the best of both worlds. You can still use a template and the Divi. That was an example of, like, if you were just from scratch building a post, like with the dynamic headings and modules, all that on a per post basis, that's the setup I would use for that. But if you were going to use like the Divi builder to build out your post content, but you're not going to be adding like all this, right? These dynamic elements to it. You can still do that. Let's see. So to do that, let me go back to my one. So let's say I have this, right? Just remember that this is not just for the block editor, but also to show the content within the Divi builder. And if you understand that, you can still use this template without the restraints. I would just need to take it out at the template level, right? Make sure there's no padding on this row. Make sure this row spans the full width of the section. Make sure the section doesn't have padding. So whatever issues you're having can be addressed on the template level so that you can use the Divi builder freely and make those adjustments on the back end, and then it will show up correctly how you want it on the front end. So I don't think there's a need to kind of fix anything on like a core level of Divi. I think it's more or less just how you basically design your template to fit the Divi builder content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's the step that you were taking for those exceptions when you're creating the new template there. Yeah, because I noticed that too. I could understand why is all this extra padding happening?
Right.
We're going to find out it's nesting the section I built from the template, as well as when I was custom building using the builder. And I was like, wait a minute, no. Now I got to figure out how to fix that. So that's what I was wondering, if this was like, okay, was this thoroughly planned when the developers created the template and the builder, or is this something that we have to get around by creating another template and removing all that excess and assigning that template to all those other pages?
Right. And I think it's just with the development of Divi, we've kind of had our way of doing things, and then we introduce these new features. It's kind of hard to adopt this new way of blogging, right? So we've kind of created this to show you how, or ways to simplify the process, but a lot of us are still using the Divi builder on a per post basis and not the block editor, and therefore we're not seeing it translate like we, as the creators of Divi, initially basically created it to function. Like we're thinking that this is going to be for those who are used to blogging with the blog editor, right? So that's why it was set up this way. But it doesn't mean that you still can't use the Divi builder. It's just you're going to have to make some adjustments.
Understand.
Yeah. It's
So where is the snippet pulled from in a template?
specifically what snippet?
Well, you were saying that the content dynamically shows up in the snippet.
Oh, this
Where is the snippet pulled from? If it
like
is it something you set up in the template?
so the template I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused with what you mean by snippet. Could you maybe use another word?
Well, it's the SEO snippet on the side there.
Oh, let's go to the back end. Okay.
The excerpt, I think, is what she's talking about.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Yeah. So the excerpt, yes, it can be pulled in through anywhere. Like, for example,
This is for the SEO, right?
right. So I'm editing the SEO. I'm sorry. No, not the SEO snippet. You're talking about the thing that shows up in Google.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll down on your page.
The SERP.
It's not working very well.
Yeah, I don't have Yoast SEO or anything set up on my blog, so you won't see those options. I think that's what you're referring to.
I'm just going to go to one of my pages and see if I can.
Let me just go ahead and say that you can't pull that in to a template. That's what you're referring to is maybe your excerpt. That would be more along the lines of what you're referring to, not your custom search engine, I forget what the term is, but it's not what you see on the meta description or whatever on your search engine. This is actually the excerpt for your post. It can pull in. So, and yes, all you would need to do is add it as dynamic content here, post excerpt, and it will be displayed. And each dynamic content, you can add stuff before and after. Like if I wanted to give this a H1 or H2 or H3 or whatever, I can do that before and after the content. It's a good tip for those of you using dynamic content on a content area. So if I added an H3, right, I could do that. Here I have, I can add more text to read more of my excerpt, stuff like that. So it has some cool options. Just explore these dynamic content items when you have a chance. But that's how you would do that.
I
And then
think
you could use this
interject here. If you select in the original blog module, if you select add an excerpt, it will take the first paragraph of whatever your main text is. It will pull from that. And you can say how many characters you want to use. Or you can go into each individual page and add something in that excerpt on the right sidebar. Then it will take that. It will override that. But if you do nothing, it will just take your first paragraph of text up to however many characters you assign. 270, I think, is default. I usually make it 250, but so that's where it pulled from, is your first paragraph of text.
100%.
Unless you tell it otherwise. That's not Yoast. That's just for the blog page specifically. Excellent.
Correct. So right now, yes, if I save this and I pull up my blog post or any blog post, let me open it in a. So with that new addition, it's not going to be styled, but you'll see it here, right? Here's basically the first part of the post as she described very well, I might add, the functionality.
That matter in Amanda starts in 30 minutes.
All right. It's already
Sorry,
1:30.
Alexa interfered.
Yeah, it's already 1:30. Thanks, Alexa. So let's, I anticipated this, but we've already gone through most of this. So using a blog post template, You can look at this. I'll add it. I'll email it to Dustin. He'll give it to you guys later. There's a lot of reasons to use it, saving time. You don't have to bother building layouts or design elements with each new blog you write or post you write. That's one of the main reasons to use a template. All you need to do is add the content on the back end, and then it will be displayed beautifully on the front end. It promotes consistent design site-wide. That's another key aspect, right? Because a lot of times it's hard to keep these designs of each blog post the same, especially if you're creating it from scratch. If you do, like, you can be using pre-made layouts or global presets to kind of keep those design elements consistent and easy to deploy as you build your blog post. It's easy to update design and content for all posts at once, right? If you just have it in one place on one template, it's easy to update your design across the board or change what dynamic element you want to pull up, and it's a lot easier to manage. All right, so there is a tutorial on how to build a blog post template, and I'm gonna, bypass that for now because it's included in this document that we're going to send. It's going to be a PDF, but the links on there should work. And then we're going to show you how you can easily learn how to do it. If not, just search for it on our blog, how to build a blog post template. One of the big, here it is, I think, right? So one of the big things to remember is, see, it's a free download. So you can download it and test it out. But how to design a blog post template with Divi's theme builder, right? Another key post you'll want to look at is how to create let me go back to the top, how to create a category page template for your blog posts. And I have links to those as well in the document I'm going to send. But this category page template is going to be key. And this shows you how to use all the offsets, right? See, this layout is using offsets, right? There's a blog module using the blog post slider module, and then a blog module using a different layout and a blog module using a different layout with offsets so that you can make unique layouts, which we mentioned earlier.
Just use that tutorial. It was very easy. Thank you. I used it yesterday, actually.
Awesome. It's good to hear. So I'm gonna just blow by some of these before we end here. I'm gonna open up for questions last minute. Dynamic content for a blog post module. That's what we covered here. All those different, anatomy of a blog post template. These are all dynamic elements you can add to your template. The functionality of the post content module we talked about, right? That's that container, right? That pulls in the post content from the back end, whether or not you're using the block editor or the Divi builder. It's going to pull in that area wherever you have it on the template. And if using the block editor for post content with a blog post template, that's kind of like the main idea here that I'm promoting. To use both of those, but use it in a way that's really smart, and to give you the most design you want and the ease of use on the back end. One of the things we didn't cover is using Divi layout blocks. I wanted to get into. This is kind of like that happy medium. A Divi layout block is basically a block within if you haven't used the block editor, the default WordPress editor. We have a Divi layout block that comes with Divi automatically that you can use to deploy entire layouts if you want, or rows or sections or modules to your block editor, right? Content on the fly as needed. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds, right? You're using the block editor for ease of use, but then you find yourself needing an email opt-in module or a contact form or whatever it is. You can use a Divi layout block to pull in a pre-designed or want to create from scratch any Divi element you want within that content on the back end.
Does the Divi layout blocks adopt the global styles that you create in the template builder?
Yes.
Okay.
They should. But even better, I would global. Yeah, global. It does. It will. At least it did in the past. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it will. Also, a good key thing to do is to use global presets, right, with this. So one of the blog posts that I'm going to link to is called basically how to use the layout block to create a reusable block for like images and things like that. So there's ways for you to use the layout block. And let me just go to the back end here. Just to, because this is really cool. If you haven't seen this before, it's worth sharing. If I can, let's go back. Make sure this isn't the post. All right, so here, so if I go, let's see. Oops. Let me go to the bottom here. No, let's go to the middle. So I'm in the middle because that's kind of the main reason to use it. If I just do a little search here, there's my Divi layout block. So I just add that, and then I can just start the process of building a new layout or loading it from the library, Divi layout library. And then once you do, like if you want to build a new layout, it'll kind of pop up really small because it's going to be the size you'll see it in your blog posts, kind of. But you can go and add, let's say a call to action. It looks really good. So let's say I add that call to action here. I'm going to save it, exit. It's going to pop up. But not only that, I can go in and add it as a reusable block. And that way I can just kind of add it and then change it to a normal block every single time I want a call to action. It's kind of another way of using global presets, I guess, with the block editor. But speaking of global presets, I could also use global presets on this element and have a kind of a design already in place that I can deploy on this element every single time. And so now I have this ability to add, content within the Divi or in the block editor, but it be a Divi element, a Divi layout, or a Divi, whatever it is I want from Divi. So it gives you that design customization that you need.
And
on the
the thing to preface, I think, is you are using the current Gutenberg layout, and you do not have classic editor turned on or disable Gutenberg, because this is the new blocks sections and stuff.
Right. So
Gutenberg, right? Because I don't do that, so that's why some of it's confusing.
Gotcha. So yeah, I should have led with that, I guess. So my theme options are, let's see. So my builder. So I don't have the classic editor, and I am enabling the latest Divi builder experience. And maybe a lot of you don't have that or whatever, but I am, whenever I go and build a post, I'm using this default editor, not using the Divi builder. And when I click to use the default editor, that automatically deploys the block editor that we've been referring to, which, like, again, can be used just like a classic editor, but with all these different, I guess, blocks you can use to style it or whatever. And yeah, glad you asked that. So let's see, going back. All right, so for those of you who are advanced users or have been blogging for a while, you know what custom fields are. I really think there's some really cool things you can do with custom fields in the back end. For example, I have, this is an example of a custom field kind of built into WordPress, but you can add, like, let's say you don't like, you know, the simplicity of the block editor and all that. And so you want to add more custom things like a link URL and want to streamline that process. Well, you can add a download URL, and then this can be updated on a per post basis, right? And then you can go into your theme builder template. And let's say in this one, I have a button, right, on my template, but this button has a link. And what I've done is, I'm going to erase it. I pulled in, because every time you add a new custom field, it becomes available as dynamic content. So all I have to do is select that on my template to pull in that download URL and save it. And that download file then will adopt this entry every single time you create a new post. So that kind of allows you the flexibility of still using the block editor and the simplistic backend of, or just, you can still be using the Divi builder, it doesn't matter, but it allows you to add this custom content to your template with ease, right? You don't have to like create a new button every time or anything like that. You just enter the URL and it just does its thing. And of course, I could add anything I want. I could add text if I wanted. I could add just a text block, and then that text block can be put anywhere on my, you know, theme template that I want, you know. And so that's kind of the power of custom fields. You know, if I wanted to put like a block of text over here, I can pull it in as a custom field if I wanted to. So it opens up the doors to create different layouts, really, and streamline that process. And for those of you who are familiar with advanced custom fields as the plugin, you can, you know, that works really well with Divi to do a bunch of stuff as well. So I'm going over time. Dustin, help me.
You're doing great. Yeah, I think if we have like one last question, that'd be great. But definitely, I just want to drive home what Jason's been trying to show us is the theme builder combined with dynamic content and some other features it can handle really streamlines the process of creating content for your website. There's nothing more aggravating than having blog post layouts for using Divi and then have to go through each one and change them when you have something you need to change, whether it's like a redesign or a new element you want on the sidebar. Theme builder is a lifesaver and a time saver. So yeah, if we got one more question, I think that'd be great to
I do have a question.
send us off.
On your layout, Jason, the one with the big purple background in the top.
Yeah.
Above the title is where you had the categories.
Correct.
Instead of like in a meta, like underneath the
Correct.
this yeah, always goes there. How do you put those there? About like where you had it or anywhere, and not include all that other metadata that goes with that information. I thought that was a cool modern look to that, and I'd love to know how to do that.
Great question. So, in the past, kind of you were limited to what we use as the post title module, right? So, post title module, basically, you could deploy and then take out the element like title, author, or what
the meta.
Yeah, like basically choose to hide everything but the meta, and you can like show it as that if you wanted to. But there was really no way to break that up. But you can with the dynamic content, right? So now you can add it to any content area on a block, on a module. So if I go to this is actually a blurb module being used. So if I open up this blurb module, the body. I'm not sharing?
No.
Oh gosh, I clicked off. Sorry. I'll go back real quick. Don't laugh at me, Raquel.
I can't help it. It's very Jason.
I don't know. Yeah, it is me. I'm very crazy. Okay. All right, let's go back. Here we go. So right here is a blog module, and in the body area, I am using post categories. So this is how it looked before. All I got to do is
It's a blog module or a text?
I'm sorry, it's a text module.
Okay, thank you.
I use it for blog modules a lot. So I'm
Okay.
So yeah, it's a text module, but you can add it to any module, any content area, anywhere, like a title area, anywhere. So add post categories, right? And then I can update the options, right? So before I wanted to show, give it a title, right? Like categories or something. I can put that before it, kind of thing. And then it'll show up. And then I can go in and style it however I want.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you would do that.
And then on because the blog I just did, it's the traditional featured photo, title, and then author date with all the categories next, that meta stuff under there. So I set that up, then in that section, I would tell it, don't put in categories.
No, actually, they have a specific dynamic content for that. So this one is another text module using the same technique, except I'm just using the current date.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm using current date. That is wrong. It should be published date. So don't download this template, everyone. Okay, so yeah, it should be post-publish date. That should be the one to use there. And as dynamic content. All right. And then the comments has one as well. So all of these are available. Once you're in a template, right? That's the key. Once you're in a post template, these will show up.
So when you're that right now where it says your dynamic post title, that is that's a module, it's part of the template, right? Yeah, that.
That's also a text module.
Okay.
But I'm using the post archive title as dynamic content on this body area. But what I've done is I've added the H1 tag around it. So now it is SEO ready, right? It's still an H1 for my page.
So instead of using that one header kind of module, you did individual ones up here on
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
So yeah, the more progressed we get, the more we get away from using one module for a lot of different elements. Now we can use, more elements because it kind of frees you up for design purposes. Yeah. So great question.
Appreciate it.
And this is the resource links. I mean, there's so much, guys. Gosh, so much on our blog and the documentation. But these are kind of the ones that stood out to me in this, presentation and this topic that would be helpful. A lot of cool things you can do. And so make sure and check that out whenever we.
Where is this page?
That is nowhere yet. It is just with me. It's I will. Dustin said he could send it to you guys or make it available. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. This was great.
Yeah. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you. Great.
Yeah.
Like your Jason, you did good.
I'm telling you, I talk way too much, way too fast because I have way too much to cover, but I appreciate it. Hopefully next time we can
listen to you for hours. No problem.
We can be a little bit more laid back. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Love it. I love it. There's all that information coming in. Thank you so much.
So much to go over with the blog. I mean, you almost have to break it down into, okay, we're only going to talk about this part of blogs. Yeah. It's intense, all the stuff that Divi can do, which I love. I mean, but it's a lot.
Yeah.
To go over in an hour and a half. But,
Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
kind of why I prefaced.
Yeah, I think another time if we did this type of thing again, creating one from scratch, a demo, as opposed to already created stuff.
Love it.
Right.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'm going to keep that in mind, Ardell.
Um,
It's in a future meetup coming near you.
Coming to you.
so
Perfect.
I haven't looked at all the questions we had or addressed them, so I'm thanking Dustin for answering those if you have. But
Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this is perfect. Obviously, as everyone said, building a blog is not for the faint of heart, and definitely getting started the right way. It can definitely save you a ton of time down the road. So we'll have this recording available for everyone who came today to refer back to it. And then Jason's also going to send a link for the PDF of the presentation that he's been sharing with us today, so that you can access those links and kind of dive even deeper on how to do some of this. So thanks everyone for coming. I know some people had to leave early, but for those who stuck it out, this is great. And thanks again, Jason and
Appreciate it.
Raquel.
You.
This is awesome.
Divi Atlanta will
Jason.
talk to you soon.
Jason, Divi Chicago
Yes.
will be talking to you soon. Don't worry about it. You'll
All
be
right.
busy.
Tammy, I wanted to take part in
Oh.
yours, but I don't know how to get in touch with you.
Who?
Cami,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to come to one of your sessions and I didn't know how to get in touch with you.
It's Divi Meetup Atlanta. If you just type in
Okay.
Google Divi Atlanta Meetup, Atlanta Divi Meetup, you'll find it.
All right.
Do you,
Okay.
do you know
meetup.com/Divi-Atlanta. I know all of them. And she
Perfect.
just left.
Thanks again, Dustin and
See you
everyone.
next time. Bye.
Great meeting you guys.
Likewise. Thank you so much, you guys, and have a great rest of April. And we'll see you guys again
Thanks.
in May.
Bye, guys.